A little girl was actually born in prison. Raised by prison guards and her inmate mother, she grew up in a world behind bars. When her stomach growled with hunger, all she could do was eat leftovers from the neighbors. Just when she was about to enjoy a rare full meal, hunger made her hands weak, and the entire bowl crashed to the ground. As she bent down to pick it up and continue eating, the door was suddenly kicked open. Two aggressive women stormed in, shouting at the girl to hand over the key. "That key holds the core tech of the entire corporation. How dare the daughter of a criminal touch it?" Terrified, the girl backed away. "You little liar, still pretending to be tough?" So, what happens next? The couple rushed into the living room and tore the place apart. One of them grabbed the girl harshly. "Just like your mother, ungrateful trash!" The girl screamed. "It was you who ruined my mom's life." The woman froze for a second, shocked by the outburst. "Cry, cry, cry! Is that all you know how to do? Let me tell you, your mom will never." She snatched a photo from the girl and smashed it to the floor. But then, out of nowhere, a key fell out. The girl lunged forward and clutched it tightly. "This belongs to my mother. You evil people can't have it." The scheming woman pounced, trying to grab it, but the girl bit down hard on her arm. Furious, the woman shoved the girl with all her strength, knocking her out cold. Thinking she had just killed a child, she stood trembling in fear. But the girl's cruel uncle didn't flinch. "We only kept that little brat alive to find the key. Now that we have it, what's there to be afraid of?" He picked up a heavy ornament from the table, ready to strike. At that critical moment, the CEO burst through the door. His bodyguards instantly pinned the two assailants to the ground. Seeing the unconscious girl, the CEO's eyes burned with rage. He slapped one of them hard. "Who gave you the guts to touch my daughter?" He scooped her into his arms and rushed her to the hospital, ordering his men, "Make sure those two regret ever being born." At the hospital, the truth finally came out. The girl was severely malnourished, the biological daughter of the head of a trillion-dollar empire, yet she couldn't even eat properly. Her face was pale, her arms thinner than the CEO's wrist. The man's eyes turned red with fury. Years ago, the girl's mother had abandoned him for a richer man, thinking he was poor, not knowing he was the heir to a massive fortune conglomerate, living low-key, waiting for real love. He thought the past was behind him, until that day when a little girl ran up to him, hugged his leg, and called him Dad. Stunned, the CEO stood frozen. He was single and never married. Where did such a big child come from? He assumed it was just another spoiled heiress playing games to get his attention. But the girl was sharp. She pulled out one of her own hairs and told him to run a test. Still, he didn't believe her and walked away. One of his assistants, sensing something was off, secretly collected a strand of the CEO's hair from the couch and ran the DNA test. When the results came back, everyone was shocked. The report clearly stated, biological match. The CEO's grandparents were overjoyed. Their grandson had refused to marry after college, and they feared their family line would end. Now, a bright little granddaughter had appeared out of nowhere. They rushed to the neighborhood to bring her home, only to find her being attacked. After rescuing her and treating her wounds, the CEO finally relaxed. He immediately demanded she cut ties with her gold-digging mother. "You gave birth to her but didn't care for her. Letting her starve? You don't deserve to be a mother." He picked the girl up. "You'll see what it means to have a real CEO dad." As they stepped into his mansion, "Welcome home, young lady." 30 personal maids awaited her, along with custom gold jewelry, princess-style necklaces and bracelets. And that wasn't all. Her dad promised, "Soon I'll get you a 50-carat diamond tiara, just to play with, my little princess." At lunch, true to a trillion-dollar legacy, a table full of delicious food left the girl speechless. She had never seen so many good dishes before. But then came the surprise. "Daddy, can we pack up the leftovers?" The CEO was confused. "Why do you want to pack them?" She replied, "The stir-fried pork is Mom's favorite dish. I want to bring it to her." Hearing that, the CEO clenched his fists, furious. He didn't want to hear another word about that woman, but still, he let the girl do as she wished. A trillionaire's family doesn't care about a few leftovers. The girl joyfully carried the lunchbox, riding in a luxury car, escorted by the butler, heading straight to the prison. What she didn't know was, the CEO and his men had secretly followed her all the way there. She handed the food to a prison guard, asking her to pass it to her mother. Just then, someone grabbed her shoulder. "What is going on here?" The girl turned calmly and spoke the truth. "My mom is in prison." The girl's mother was wrongfully imprisoned. The CEO had always assumed the woman was just a gold digger who abandoned her daughter to chase luxury. But the girl revealed the truth. She was born in prison. It was the prison guard aunties and her mother who raised her with love and care. Only then did the CEO realize there must have been more to the story. Meanwhile, inside the prison, the woman opened the lunchbox and saw the stir-fried pork. her eyes filled with memories. Back then, the man she loved used to cook that dish himself and bring it to her every day. She had broken up with him not because he was poor, but to protect him. Her evil uncle had murdered her father in order to seize control of the Ann Group. He wanted the entire company and would stop at nothing, not even threatening her boyfriend's life. Terrified that harm would come to the man she loved, she pretended to be shallow, claimed he was too poor, and coldly cut him off. She thought this was the only way to save him. But she never expected her uncle would stage a cruel setup with Li Xiao, a man deep in gambling debt. They orchestrated a fake incident, forced her hand onto a knife, and made her stab herself in the stomach, then forged a medical report, turning a superficial wound into a grade 1 poisoning case, landing her 10 years in prison. She was already pregnant at the time, and gave birth to her daughter behind bars. Fortunately, she was granted probation to raise her child outside. Her evil uncle and his scheming accomplice searched the entire Ann family estate, but they could never find the safe's key containing the core technology. Without it, they couldn't win shareholder trust. Ann had no way of claiming the CEO position, but her parole was about to end. If the girl didn't find her real father, she'd be forced to return to prison, and her life would never be normal. Meanwhile, the CEO had investigated every detail of her case. The victim only had minor surface wounds, yet the injury report falsely stated grade 1 poisoning. That fraudulent report had cost the woman 10 years of her life. The CEO slammed his hand on the table. "We're reopening this case." News spread quickly. Her evil uncle panicked. The injury report was fake, and she was about to be released. But the key was still missing. If she came out and got to the shareholders, his dreams of power would be over. The woman finally regained her freedom, and upon release, saw the CEO, the man she hadn't seen in years. But he was filled with resentment. "Without me, your life went to hell." He thought she had left him for a gambler like Li Xiao, and ended up in prison because of her poor choices, unaware that she had broken up with him only to protect him. She thanked him sincerely for helping clear her name, but to her surprise, the CEO coldly handed her a legal document. "You've cheated. You've been to prison. Do you really think someone like you deserves to raise Nuan?" Heartbroken, but thinking of her daughter's safety, the woman signed the agreement, giving up custody. But the CEO's eyes filled with rage. "You signed it without even hesitating. Do you trust me that much? I always held you in my heart. I believed you'd never leave me, but you did, and got into someone else's car the next day." The woman kept apologizing, saying she never meant to lose him. She just wanted him to live. But the CEO had been deeply wounded. "From now on, I'll never let my daughter see you again." Crushed, the woman made up her mind. It was time to get revenge on her evil uncle and take back what was rightfully hers. She found her daughter, took the safe key, and told her, "Live a good life with your dad." As she turned to leave, her daughter hugged her tightly. "Mom, don't go." The woman pried her daughter's hands off, forcing herself to walk away. Without hesitation, she sought out the company's shareholders, trying to reclaim her father's legacy. Just as she began her pitch, the scheming uncle and his accomplice arrived, spewing insults. "Shameless woman, seducing 2 shareholders now?" The woman had no patience left. She splashed a glass of wine in his face. "Watch your mouth!" The uncle jumped forward. "You want to hand over the company to someone with a criminal record? You'll lead us to bankruptcy." That was the last straw. The woman's rage boiled over. "I was framed, and I've cleared my name. I have every legal and rightful claim to this company. Who are you to question me?" The uncle tried to smear her reputation further, but the shareholders stepped in. "We've already decided on our terms." After her father's death, the Ann Group lost major partnerships. They needed new leadership, someone who could bring in fresh investments. They were willing to offer 10% of their shares and fully back the woman as the next CEO. The evil uncle was stunned. He laughed mockingly. After all, the woman currently had nothing. There was no way she could win. Desperate to secure funding, the woman went to one of her father's old friends, hoping he would lend a hand for her father's sake. But the moment she spoke, he walked away coldly, saying, "Feelings fade when the person's gone." Out of options, she turned to another executive and begged for just 10 minutes of his time. But once he heard she had been in prison, he refused to listen and violently threw her proposal into the trash. Still, she didn't give up. Her daughter was waiting for her. She had to take back everything. That's when she heard news about Bo Group, a billion-dollar corporation ranked among the world's top 10. She thought of her ex, Bo Zhengming. Maybe she'd been foolish. He was just an ordinary man trying to survive in a cutthroat world. No wonder he ended up being framed and jailed. But if she could form a partnership with this massive company, the Ann Group could definitely rise again. The CEO had been keeping an eye on her all along. As soon as he heard she was trying to get Bo's investment, he ordered his team to spread the word. Bo Jengming will be appearing tonight at the Shadowlight Bar. Will the CEO really help this woman? This series is titled Mom's Little Savior. The original series is still ongoing, so the story isn't over yet. The little girl is clever and kind, and the tension between the CEO and the woman is just the result of a deep misunderstanding. I believe they'll work it out in the end, so do you want to see more? If you do, leave a comment with "keep going," and I'll keep going. Alright, that's it for this episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.